You're watching Access Minnesota. Here's Jim Dubois.
Now, University of Minnesota humanities professor James Norwood shares his views on the JFK assassination investigation and the findings of the Warren Commission. Well, given the testimony of these witnesses in Dealey Plaza, did the law enforcement authorities and ultimately the Warren Commission disregard what they reported, or did they find holes in their stories?
Well, this really gets us into the whole topic of the Warren Commission, how it came about, what it accomplished, and above all, the process that it used as an investigation. And as it turns out, the incoming president, Lyndon Johnson, did not want to set up a commission of this order. He was hoping that the FBI could handle the case exclusively. When there was criticism about that approach, LBJ then decided reluctantly to form this panel. It was supposed to be a blue ribbon panel of unimpeachable men who were going to investigate the case impartially. And so a week after the assassination, the Warren Commission was formed, and then they convened in early December. This chronology is important because, as it turned out, in that time of several weeks that had elapsed after the assassination, there was no conventional investigation. It was unlike virtually any other crime scene that one can imagine. All of that time that elapsed was crucial in missing important leads that delayed the process of finding out really what happened. That first day evidence, much of that obviously and tragically was lost. Then in the commission itself, certainly one of the key members of the commission, and actually the first name that came to the mind of Lyndon Johnson, was that of Allen Dulles. Now, Allen Dulles was the former head of the CIA who was fired by President Kennedy after the ill-fated Bay of Pigs invasion when he first acceded to the presidency. Dulles was fired, and in disgrace, after that event, JFK vowed that he was going to reevaluate the status of the CIA. And so to put Allen Dulles on the commission was a curious choice. At the very first meeting of the Warren Commission, Dulles informed the other commissioners that the outcome of their investigation would undoubtedly show that the assassination was committed by a lone gunman, because that's the way all of the other assassinations of American presidents were committed. Of course, he didn't note that in the Lincoln assassination, 8 people were convicted of being involved in a plot to kill President Lincoln, 4 of whom were eventually tried and executed for the death of Lincoln. But from the outset, it was clear that the Warren Commission was starting on the premise that Lee Harvey Oswald was guilty. He sat in his perch on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, fired off 3 shots. One of the shots missed the president and the limousine as a whole, actually wounding a bystander, James Tague, and the other 2 bullets did the damage to both Governor Connally and President Kennedy. Now, the Warren Commission did its work. It called its witnesses, and as you were asking, a number of the witnesses who presented views that opposed the position of 3 shots, 1 lone gunman firing from the back, those witnesses were often discounted. But you still can read in Warren Commission testimony people like Jean Hill, who are claiming that she heard 4 to 6 shots. But many witnesses were simply not called by the Warren Commission when their views opposed the foregone conclusions of the commission. It was especially in the investigation of Oswald that the Warren Commission attempted to devise a profile. And so if one reads the Warren report, it's a pseudo-biography of Oswald trying to, in a very difficult manner, come to some sort of motivation about why he would kill the president.
Well, let's focus for a moment on Lee Harvey Oswald. He was a suspect almost from the beginning. Who was Lee Harvey Oswald, and why was he so early on looked upon as the sole suspect in the Kennedy assassination?
Well, the reports about Oswald identifying him for a subject as the suspect begin within an hour of the assassination. And that is very curious because there appears on a list that was typed by one of the Dallas police detectives, a list of the employees of the Texas School Book Depository. And at the head of the list was the name Harvey Lee Oswald. Not Lee Harvey Oswald, but Harvey Lee Oswald. How that name came to be reversed is a subject of great interest because it comes out in the 1970s during the House Select Committee review that Harvey Lee Oswald was in the files of American intelligence. And so many of the files refer to Lee Harvey Oswald and others refer to Harvey Lee Oswald. Jack Revel, who typed up that list, had met with an Army intelligence officer who just happened to be in Dealey Plaza, which was the eventual source for that Harvey Lee Oswald. We then see in some of the earliest press releases references to Harvey Lee Oswald. And so early on, Oswald was the first suspect. He was the only suspect. And there were never any other alternative suspects in this case, despite overwhelming evidence that Oswald did not act alone, even if he did involve. The evidence suggests that he never purchased the rifle that he was alleged to use. His image was splashed on the cover of Life magazine weeks after the assassination, holding the rifle. When he was interrogated, Oswald told the police that that picture was a fabrication. It was his head pasted on someone else's body. He did not own a rifle. He did not bring a rifle to work. And he actually told the media, as he was being paraded in front of the cameras before the Dallas police officers, "I didn't shoot anyone. I'm just a patsy."
When Access Minnesota returns, a look at two other murders connected to the Kennedy assassination.
Access Minnesota will return after these messages.